Good morning, everyone. I'm here to talk about the new moon in Virgo that we have this afternoon, the Venus gate coming up in a few days, as well as the September 10th debate and the candidates' charts. So it's a lot to go over. This is probably going to end up being a longer video. But it just felt like the right window of opportunity to kind of look at all of that. And so, this Virgo new moon has felt really interesting. You know, it brings me back to the archetype of Virgo and the priestess and the word virgin, which is really originally meant a woman who belonged to herself. It didn't really have much to do with chastity. But, when you look at the polarity of Virgo and Pisces is the all, and Pisces feels everything. And Virgo can take that gift and pull it down through her and birth a new consciousness. And to do this, it's really important for her to have times of solitude, to just be in her own energy. There's sort of like there's these little recovery processes, right? So I'm really feeling that with this new moon, that it's just a really good time to go within and take some time to be quiet and just tend to your own needs and tend to your own life. And because there's a lot going on in the collective, right? And there's a lot to come as well, a lot of big changes. So what I've noticed about all of these charts is that there's a lot of Lilith energy being activated. And Lilith is bringing us this sword of truth, this eye of Medusa that sees through and also sees the other as a mirror of herself. And so as things get more intense on the world stage, it really feels like this invitation to use the world stage as our mirror and to see where is that in me or not too, or to reflect on, the things that you've worked on, the things you could still work on, or just acknowledge, not work on, but things that are beneath the surface that want to be heard. So let's see. Another thing I wanted to point out is Uranus turns retrograde, and he'll be revisiting Algol again. He's only a degree away, so he technically is still working with Algol, but he's going to move back to 26. I think it's later this month. Yeah, later this month, which is going to highlight the momentous occasion of the Trump assassination again. So this could play out a couple of ways. One is that it could bring some truth forward about what was happening, the motives, the people behind it, that kind of thing. The other thing I feel is that it's important to send protection to not only him, but also RFK, just because they're really a huge threat to the establishment. And this Uranus really feels like he's trying to bring forth the truth of that, trying to uncover what's been hidden and what are the true motives of the people in power. Pluto re-enters Capricorn, so it's echoed here again, right? He goes back to the 29th degree. We also have Neptune at 29 degrees retrograde. So we have 4 planets retrograde, 2 of them being collective outer planets, and 2 at the 29th, which is called the anoretical degree, which is very karmic. It's very okay, we're tired of this already. How can we get through this? Or what needs to be resolved? What needs to be let go? And so with Capricorn, it's really our top-down structures that are being transformed and rebirthed. And in the past, I really felt this energy of Pluto revisiting Capricorn right here as like revisiting, like, reviewing our journey and seeing like how far we've come. But now that we're really in it, I think there's room for that. But it really feels like the death throes of the old establishment and the gripping for power and the gripping to maintain this hold over the people. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that plays out. And of course, all of this is going on right around our next election. You know, it's funny how things work out that way. Let's see. We've got Mars, which will also swing over the 29th degree just for a couple days in Gemini on the 3rd and 4th. And that's really going to invite us to explore more ideas and information, be driven to like open our minds. And Jupiter in Gemini is that open invitation as well. We've got Chiron squaring Pluto, trining Mercury, and sextiling Jupiter, inviting us to see what's been hidden and to expand through our personal expression for healing. And this is especially about the children, because a lot of these, I feel like I was seeing this, Mercury in Leo. So Mercury in Leo is really about expressing from the heart and expressing from this innocent place. And there's this invitation to heal our inner child, as well as our masculine, like our protective abilities, like to bring forth the divine protector within us that really protects our own inner child and children in our outer world as well. There is a square between Neptune, Mars, Venus, Lilith, and the South Node, which are trining Pluto. Okay, so this, to me, there's a big focus on Mars. And again, that's that protective energy too. But Mars in Gemini feels so much less intense, if that makes sense, because Gemini is mutable, and so it's changeable. And Neptune in Pisces is about the spiritual principle. It's like, how can we protect everyone to a certain extent and be open to different perspectives? And Black Moon Lilith conjunct Venus is like, again, that sort of truth. So there's tension there, because how do we honor the truth or our truth and also honor the other, and maintain compassion and humanity through differing points of view? Because the contrast in the collective feels like it's becoming greater and greater. And I think that it's interesting because on the 3D level, it feels like there's sides, but from a higher perspective, I keep saying this, there's basically choosing the way of nature or choosing the way of, I don't want to say artificial, but I can't think of a better word, like artificial creations of man, like where we're creating from our ego. We're not thinking about the whole. We're only thinking about the self. So those feel like the opposing sides. And one side feels like it thinks it's protecting the whole, but it's actually trapped. It's actually trapped in wounding and victim mindset. And its compassion is being taken advantage of. Its empathy is being taken advantage of. And so Chiron in Aries and the nodes, the North Node being in Aries, the South Node being in Libra, are really, and the South Node is conjunct Lilith and Venus as well. That's very important to note. So it's this karmic wrapping up of like, how do we be in relationship, but also be sovereign and have healthy boundaries and we really can't give from an empty cup, you know? We really have to understand ourselves and love ourselves to be able to be of service. And that feels like something that's getting reconciled or being invited to be reconciled right now. So before I move along, I'm going to pull a goddess card for this new moon. Let's see what goddess wants to come forward with a message for us. Ooh. Almost losing all the cards here. Hathor, pleasure. Interesting. This really points me to Lilith, Venus, and the South Node. And it leads us right into the Venus gate, too. The Venus gate, man, there's so much coming through about this card. Okay, so the next Venus gate is the sacral chakra in Libra. And this feels like this divine marriage, Libra, the masculine and the feminine. And the sacral is our emotions, our sexuality. And we're birthing this new consciousness. And Hathor is somebody that can help us. Hathor has helped me in the process of conception. She helps us open to be receptive. You see the cow horns. The cow horns have a negative charge like the earth. They're receptive. So it's interesting. When we have a Venus gate, the moon and Venus are conjunct. And this is like, Hathor feels like the ultimate moon-Venus energy. I love it after this Virgo full moon. It's like the fertility. We're being open to receive this fertile ground and to plant our seeds. And a lot of people talk about, not wanting to try to manifest. I'm not really huge into manifesting, honestly. Like maybe that's something I could do more of. But the new moon is usually a time where we manifest, and after this we're going to be in an eclipse portal, and most people don't really want to try to manifest things on eclipse portals. It's more about just holding the light. Let me look at Hathor here. Pleasure. And it makes sense too, Venus is ruled by Libra as well as Taurus, so we've got the bull there as well. All right. Hathor is here to tell you that the way to wholeness for you lies in connecting with what brings you pleasure and in experiencing pleasure. Have you been taught that pleasure is forbidden, something sinful or evil? Are you so busy fulfilling your commitments that pleasure is relegated to the bottom of your list? Do you deny pleasure in order to get work done? Stop. Time to change all that. Pleasure relieves stress and relaxes and refreshes you. Pleasure is the body's way of expressing health and vitality. Pleasure is the oil that keeps you lubricated and lush. Hathor says that since you have chosen to be here in a physical body, you might as well enjoy it. Don't wait for others to fulfill this need. Plan to give yourself pleasure daily, and you'll find satisfaction dancing in your life. I love that. That's a really good reminder in Virgo season 2. And I think that having all these planets retrograde really set us up to have more time like that for ourselves, because it's a more introverted kind of energy. And Virgo is just like, it's got their to-do list. They like to do all the things. They're all about the details. It's all about the cleaning. But she's reminding us to not get too wrapped up in that and to take time for things that we enjoy and for pleasure. And I feel like this is also this invitation for us to maintain a higher frequency and not get too distracted by the outside world. Because ultimately we don't have, actually, it's interesting. What's kind of coming through is, I was about to say we don't have control over the outside world. We only have, some control over our own lives or how we feel. And how we feel actually ripples out into the collective. So, love that. And there's just so much great mother energy right now as well too. I really feel the divine feminine swooping in and supporting the divine masculine to do what needs to be done right now. And again, that's reflected within ourselves, you know. With Saturn in Pisces, it's been this invitation to really establish our boundaries. Okay, so let's see if I had anything else for this Venus gate. I think that's about it. I'm gonna move along to the September debate. So I've been covering this political stuff and things have been changing so quickly. I thought initially I was going to put together this whole presentation and just show you all the charts and make predictions or whatever. No, Uranus has other plans, which is cool. It's been very exciting. It's been quite a roller coaster of events. So the first thing that I noticed when I looked at the debate chart is that we have this grand square between Saturn and Pisces. This is boundaries. This is disillusionment. The moon in Sagittarius, which is helping us bring forth higher truths and philosophical ideas. The shadow of it could also be running from our feelings, not wanting to be intimate. So Hathor can come in to help with that. Then there's the sun conjunct Medusa, which is really the asteroid Medusa, which is really like enlivening this eye, this ability to see through. And this is in Virgo. This is purification, purifying our perception. And with Medusa, you know, there's so much around forgiveness, with clearing our perception, because the longer we hold a grudge, the longer we hold, resentment towards someone else, the longer our perception is clouded. So this feels like a purification of that, like letting go of the resentments and the things that are keeping us from seeing more clearly. And then we have, and of course that's like, well, it's really like a grand cross and a grand square. I guess those are the same things. And that's opposing Saturn. So again, the disillusionment. Then we have Jupiter in Gemini, which is opposing the moon. So Jupiter in Gemini is opening our minds, opening us to new ideas, opening us to new perceptions. And this is opposing the moon in Sagittarius. The moon in Sagittarius says, I know, but at least with it being the moon there's a more receptive quality. So it feels like for this debate, our minds are going to be opened yet again to seeing things differently. And then we have some really harmonious energy between the moon, Chiron, Jupiter, and then Venus, Juno, and Black Moon Lilith. So we have this Lilith, Medusa energy again, Venusian energy, Juno. Juno is the goddess of marriage. And Juno can be, her shadow can be manipulative, because Juno's experience with marriage to begin with was not actually a super harmonious one. It's more like what people think of as like patriarchal at this point. But as a collective, we're working to redefine these ideas of what is equal partnership, what is a divine marriage. And Lilith is right there to help the feminine reclaim her power, as well as letting go of a lot of resentments of the past. So I want to pull another card for this one. I'm feeling this feather card. What can we expect from this debate? And it's interesting how I'm looking at the debate and I am going to a higher archetypal level of communication, which I thought was going to be kind of challenging for me because I'm human. I have my own opinions, right? But I do try to look at these things in an unbiased way. So let's see what Feather Messenger wants to come through for this debate on September 10th. Ooh, White Swan. The power of divine grace is within you. Look at that gorgeous white feather. That just feels like the purification of Virgo. And angels as well. You know, I made a video where the swan came up again, and somebody had commented, the swan has a dark side too, and I didn't question what they meant. It's kind of interesting to think about, but I mean, it's kind of interesting. They're like the yang, you know, like it's mostly light with this dot of darkness here. This is very yang energy. Okay, let's see what the white swan says here. Where is she? Maybe she's under S. Huh. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to look in the contents. Sorry, guys. She's not showing up right away. That feels like another ode to something hidden. Okay, 15. Here we go. Wow, she's the first card. The white swan brings with it the message that the power of divine grace is indeed with you and within you. Your connection to source is powerful, and the healing potential is connected with your collected merits in the form of grace. Now is the time to embrace these divine gifts where you most need support. That healing may be in the form of blessing over a current situation or transformation occurring in your life. Know that the divine messengers are assisting you now. You have the power through your own grace to move through any situation or challenge you are facing in a smooth and harmonious way. Energies: grace, beauty, fidelity, transformation. Season is the summer. Element is water and air. Color, white, which is for purity and healing. There's an affirmation: I now accept the gift of divine grace and choose to honor the power and healing light within. So this feels like a card of surrender. And something that came up for me while I was reading that is that the more we resist something, the more it persists. And I can see how in politics, it's interesting. We only see really one person, I want to say 1.5 people taking the high road. And we see another person taking a much sneakier, lower road. And I think that resistance, the more resistance to what is trying to divinely happen, actually creates more persistence for the divine, if that makes sense. So I think that is a way we can look at things ourselves too. Like, how can we surrender to what is divine, and how can we let go of pointing fingers and blaming, and just stand for what we feel is our truth and stand for what we feel is right, beyond personal attacks and things like that. So this brings me to the candidates charts for the debate. I was looking at the transits, and I noticed that, let's see, get to my notes here. So for Kamala, the Sun, Medusa are conjunct her Venus, Pluto, and Uranus. And what I heard was the word exposure. So it feels like this is also opposing her Chiron in Pisces, which is conjuncted by Saturn. So Chiron in Pisces is a really beautiful placement for compassion And it can also be compassion from, or the shadow could be trying to help, like sacrificing yourself to help everyone else. And it feels like Saturn is coming in to pull in the reins on that for her. And it also feels like with this Sun and Medusa hitting her Pluto, it's really going to expose what her motives are. It's going to show us, you know, like her, I'm hearing thirst for power. And this is where I'm feeling a lot of the feminine wounding, honestly. And I think that it's showing up on the world stage through her to show us collectively where we've been wounded and where we might be perpetuating those wounds onto others, by demanding things be, what's the word for it? It's not equal. That's what's hard. It feels like there's a demand for equality, but it's not. It's actually more suppressing, more control of people rather than really providing people with equal opportunities. It's a really hard, it's a hard situation but it's hard to find answers, right? For what she wants and for what people have been encouraged to want through taking advantage of their deep wounding. And then Uranus is conjunct her Jupiter in Algol. And so it feels like there may be some higher truths coming forward through this performance in the debate. Yeah, and that's also opposing Neptune and Scorpio, which feels like a channel for very spiritual energy. And we also need to watch for, it's conjunct the asteroid Atlantis as well. So this feels like it actually goes back to Atlantis. So I'm going to pull a card for her from my Atlantis deck. It's like I don't know, I'm just seeing like the Trident and Stormy Waters. Let's see the card for Kamala for this debate. Marriage, commitment to self and others. This is so interesting. And this is one of, Juno is not only ruled by Libra, but also Scorpio. That just pops into my mind with this card. And I'm wondering where Juno is for her right now. It's in Libra. Well, of course it is. It's in Libra for everybody. But it's not really aspecting anything. Let's see. There's a direct opportunity being presented to you that requires your full commitment. This cannot be a half-hearted decision, as you will be required to be either in it or out of it. However, by saying yes and accepting this opportunity fully, there will be many rewards offered to you. Your biggest issue, though, will be your own fear, which has stopped you in the past, and it's time to break the habit. So if you've had heartache before, it's time to accept heart healing. If you've had loss in the past, it's time to believe in game for the future. If you don't trust others, start to trust yourself. There's a blessed union about to happen, so you better get ready for it now. A few things come up when I read this card. It does feel like it's reiterating that message of inner healing of the, well, it's not just the feminine, it's the feminine and the masculine, but inner healing of past hurts. But also, she hasn't had an interview with anybody yet. And it kind of makes me wonder if she'll even show up for the debate. I wasn't getting a strong feeling that she wouldn't, but it feels like there's fear for her about showing up. Because if there's somebody else behind her running the show, that's harder. It's harder to get up and speak for somebody else than it is to speak your own truth. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not she actually commits to this debate. And it'll be interesting also to see what happens if she does show up, what happens between her and Trump. Because obviously there's a lot of tension there. And they're really showing us, wow, this is interesting. They're really showing us a lot of our shadows. A lot of it feels like feminine shadows, to be honest with you. Well, it's both, but the something I've seen about Trump is I've seen a past life where, you guys are going to laugh at this. I've seen a past life where he was a priestess and he was majorly betrayed and is bringing forth a lot of wounds from that past life into this life to be healed. And so it's almost like these two are a mirror for each other. And RFK is this one, he's kind of like, I'm seeing them like at the altar, you know, like that's the debate. And he's like this middle guy. He's almost like the priest or the guidance counselor. He, you know, Kamala won't talk to him, but he's definitely helping to guide Trump. So that is interesting. We'll see what happens there. Okay, I'm going to check out Trump's chart real quick. So the first thing that popped out to me is he has Jupiter conjunct his north node, Uranus, and the sun. The U.S. is ruled by Jupiter. This feels like a lot of luck on his side, honestly, in the way of the future of the U.S. And I'm hearing again, he needs protection. The south node, his south node is conjunct his moon and Lilith. Let's see which Lilith this is. This isn't Black Moon. I believe it's, oh gosh, that is interesting. It might be, let's see. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Sagittarius, here we go. No, it is Black Moon Lilith. But that's further, there's a different Lilith in here. Okay, well, I'm going to move on. There's a Lilith energy. Yeah, conjunct his south node and his moon. So again, that tells me, that kind of confirms what I was feeling about these past wounds of him being a priestess. The story with Lilith is that Adam was trying to dominate her, and she didn't want to be dominated, so she got kicked out of the garden. And so there's that wounding in his signature, in his soul signature. So if you think about the U.S. being, you know, having this Cancer sun conjunct Sirius, which represents Isis and the divine feminine, and the Statue of Liberty, Lady Liberty, the goddess, Vesta. There's a healing energy about the U.S. And Jupiter was sort of on this other, you know, or Zeus, I should say, was on this perpetrator kind of spectrum of the myths for the masculine. So, anyway, I'm going way off on a tangent here, but I think what's coming up for sure is like a need to forgive the masculine and things that happened in the age of Aries. This is Chiron and Aries right here. Inviting us to get back in touch with that inner spark and our innocence, and to let go of the past. You know, this Virgo new moon is really inviting us to purify these wounds. So, hey guys, I got cut off, and I was waiting for my Wi-Fi to come back on, and I decided to pull a couple of cards. And I was just about to get to RFK's chart, even though he won't be physically involved in the debate. I still felt pulled to look at his chart. And I pulled a couple of cards from my Avalon deck, and I got the other world, the unicorn, which is all about purification, the ethereal journey, everlasting rebirth, and Camelot, which is so cool because Camelot is associated with the Kennedy legacy. And it was something that actually Jackie Kennedy came up with after JFK was assassinated to try to remember his legacy as aiming towards something that would be like Camelot. This says trust, ideals, honor, aspiration. So it feels like this is what we're headed towards. This is, but we need to purify. And what's amazing about the unicorns, the unicorns are a higher consciousness, a higher dimensional consciousness. And it was said in the past that a unicorn could purify the most poisonous waters just with the touch of its horn. And the horn really represents this unification of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And this feels like that third power, as I was describing, like between these two opposites. And so I really feel sort of this like Christ consciousness behind RFK trying to heal the divide. And you'll notice he often takes the higher road when he's talking about other candidates and other people, and really wants to serve the people. He's very devoted to service. So astrologically, let me see if I know I have a few notes here. Saturn is conjunct his Vesta in Pisces, which is like holding the torch for the collective soul. And then there's all of this energy in Libra activating his Ceres, which is the Great Mother. So it feels like he's helping. I've looked at the synastry between Trump and RFK, and they're really teachers for each other. It's hard for me to see Trump as a teacher for RFK as much as RFK for Trump. But like I've said before, not all of our teachers are what we perceive as perfect, and everybody has blind spots. So it feels like they really support each other in being their authentic selves. And that feels, to me, if you can support somebody you don't agree with in being their authentic self, that feels like a very healed energy to me. So let me see if there's anything else here. Sorry, I lost my notes for a second. He's also having a Black Moon Lilith return. So this is actually an incredible portal for him to bring forth truth, which obviously truth is a big part of his soul signature. But he definitely feels more behind the scenes. And let's see, I'm going to pull a goddess card around him to see what goddess is assisting right now. And Lilith is all about reclamation of power, our own power, not power over others, but power over or empowerment of ourselves. And it feels like he's got that within himself, and he's setting an example for others. Okay. Ooh, this flew out. Corn woman, nourishment. There's Ceres right there. This is a different depiction. This is a more indigenous, Native American depiction. I think it's actually, I don't know where she's from. Let's see. She might be Andean. Corn woman. Let's see here. Southwestern indigenous aboriginals and Pueblo peoples, the Arikara, Pawnee, Cheyenne, Mandan, Hidasta, Abenaki, Cherokee, and Huron see corn as a goddess. Corn woman encompasses the figures of Corn Mother, the Corn Maidens, and the Yellow Woman. They all relate to corn as a sacred being who gives of herself to her people to sustain them and nourish them. The Arakara creator god, Nasaru, fashioned Corn Mother from an ear of corn which grew in heaven. Corn Mother came to earth and taught people how to honor the deities and to plant corn. I love this too because he's all about agriculture and trying to heal our agricultural systems, which honor the earth rather than poison the earth, and which honor the genetics of these crops rather than manipulating them into a way that's more convenient. It's not all about convenience, but trying to get back to the purity of all these different varieties. And I'm seeing like I'm seeing the rainbow frequency again, because corn there's so many varieties of corn, and yet our country is just monocropping massive amounts of genetically modified varieties that are just, it's monoculture. There's no diversity. It's really a reflection of our systems of power. So it feels like he's coming in to offer this like pathway to diversity again, where we don't all need to be the same. Kind of goes along with the Aquarian model. Like the light side of Aquarius is allowing people to have differences, and the shadow side is like groupthink. And it's interesting how there's this it's like the big grand cross in the chart of the debate, and it's like he's in the center. I just keep seeing him in the center. It's really interesting. So I want to pull one more card. Let's just pull one more from Atlantis for this debate. Marriage. Another sacred marriage. Juno just feels really prominent right now. Let me see what's on the bottom of the deck. Ooh, third eye. Here comes the Medusa energy. My psychic senses remember the way. Feels very much like trusting ourselves. All right, well, I'm going to try to clip these videos together to make them one. This is like another another representation of the sacred marriage, I suppose. Yeah, and I hope you guys have a wonderful new moon and plant some seeds before eclipse season. All right.